What's up, Mooncutter fans? Geoffrey Curry, as always, coming at you. It is currently slightly after 10 o'clock on a wonderful Wednesday night, coming at you from wild and wonderful Weirton, West Virginia. And you know what? We just got the determination 2 nights ago that it is now going to be the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup Final. And you know what? I figured I might not have covered much hockey this year because I've been too busy, but we're getting ready for the best 2 weeks of action in the sports calendar because whether you're a hockey fan or not, tuning in for the Stanley Cup Final is always a cardiac activity. And, you know what? I figured to talk about the cardiac activity of the Stanley Cup Final, I would bring back an old friend that is bound to give me a cardiac fit at some point during this episode, Frankie James. And I got to give this a different plug in here because apparently when I booked this episode, he was still Frankie James of the Frank the Tank podcast, but he just informed me before we went live that apparently there's been a rebrand. You want to tell the fans about that?
Well, first I got to thank you for having me on. It's been
Always.
a little bit. We were just talking about the last time we were together and just how good of a show it always is. We did the rivalry episode between the Flyers and the Penguins, which was a really good one. So definitely thanks for having me on. But as you mentioned, we did a revamp. We took some time away. We did a revamp. We want to focus on what we love to talk about, and that's hockey. And the Frank the Tank show is running 5 years strong. And we came back with a new idea, and it's now the Chirpin' Pucks podcast. We're focused on the NHL, some junior stuff as well. And we're also covering a little men's league. So Chirpin' Pucks podcast, you can find that on YouTube and obviously everywhere else that it is. We got a good episode coming up on Friday, talking about, the Stanley Cup, obviously. And then I got a good interview with a good friend of mine, Regan O'Grady, who's out in Prague right now, played in the OHL. He was part of that juniors tournament that I shot photos for. He was actually coaching with Joel Farabee and Tony D'Angelo. But Regan O'Grady, great guy, OHL player. A lot of fun, really exciting guy. So that's going to be coming up soon. But yeah, new podcast and same old shit that I like to talk.
Now I gotta say, bringing you on screen and to segue you in, the first thing that jumps out at me is, hey Frank, you're not exactly in your home studio this week.
Yeah, we're not at the home. We're not at the home studio. No, we a little change of scenery. We're actually live at the ice hockey rink right now, Grundy Ice Hockey Rink in Pennsylvania, right in the Burlington area. We got a great couple good things going on here. So, little men's league, and we also have the Catholic high school tournament taking place, which I was a part of. Obviously, playing high school hockey locally with Father Judge. So it's the alumni tournament. So a lot of the guys are coming back. We got games that are being played, just about ending too. A lot of good stuff. I'm playing tomorrow representing Father Judge. But yeah, we're live at the rink. We got the new twig here. New twig. Had a little help getting that bad boy.
Now, if I had to guess, you seem like a Bauer guy to me.
I got a new Bauer. I do. I have an Easton as well. Bauer's always supreme, which is ironic because there is a Bauer Supreme. But we're live at the rink, man. And maybe we'll even try and get a little series out there while we're doing the show on the ice, and maybe talk a little sports too to really feel the chill.
Nice, and very punny on the Bauer Supreme crack.
Yeah.
But when you gotta love how with the NHL playoffs, it's the one sport where it almost seems like whatever you did during the regular season doesn't matter so much as long as you punch your ticket to the playoffs. Because I will say, if you asked me at the moment that the 16th team punched its ticket to the dance, who was going to be in the Stanley Cup Final, I would have said without hesitation my prediction, which to show how completely wrong I would have been. My initial prediction for the Stanley Cup Final, looking at the 16 teams that made the bracket, would have been Edmonton versus Boston.
Can't deny with that because I had Edmonton and the Rangers in the Stanley Cup. I was live on the show with my good friend out in Colorado, Jordan, and he has a good podcast. And in the beginning of the season, I said that it was going to be Edmonton and the New York Rangers. And I called that the Rangers were going to be competitive because they were going to pick up Patrick Kane at the deadline. And I was right about that. But yeah, I thought that Edmonton was going to get past the hump. And it just turns out that It didn't happen. But to go off of what you said, you get in the playoffs in the NHL and you just don't know what's going to happen. Look at Florida. Go back to 2010 when the Flyers got in on the last day of the season and one of them on a shootout. They end up going to the Cup. You get the playoffs in the NHL and you just never know what's going to happen. That's why it's the best. It's the best playoffs ever. And not to mention Pittsburgh's not in there, so that's always good.
Yes, you got to rub it in, and I got to say it's extremely heartbreaking that Pittsburgh didn't make the cut this year because it did end what was the longest active playoff streak in professional sports at 16 seasons. With that being said, I was mistaken with who I said I thought it was, because I had said when we were on the phone a couple nights ago, getting this lined up, that I thought that the current streak went to the Chicago White Sox, and I'm actually surprised with who it actually is because of all teams, who would have thought the LA Dodgers would have would currently hold the longest active playoff streak?
I don't really. I mean that's a good stat right there. Don't really focus too much on the Dodgers, but that's a good stat that you they're always hitting it with a hot take and cupcake. But and I know we were going to eventually just talk about our local teams and stuff like that. So I'll save more of it for then. But yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh is a team, the Penguins, that have had incredible talent, incredible coaching, great goaltending, but they're still competitive, obviously. And I think one of the things that they focus on right now as an outsider, and even me being in the media, is seeing Crosby, Malkin, and who is it, Letang playing for almost 20 years still on the same team. I think that's incredible. Josh Yeo and I had talked about Josh Yeo from The Athletic. I wrote a couple articles about being able to see three players do it, same team, same time for 20 years. That's incredible.
Yeah, it really is. And think we got Sadie in 06, and we got Malkin and Letang in 07, and they're still playing as the same core of the team. Like, that's something you don't see.
No, you don't. Look at I mean, it's kind of funny, like, to bring it up since we're going to be talking about, like, look at Eric Stahl. Eric Stahl is still playing. Well, he was a player. He was a captain. I mean, not the captain, but Eric Stahl played with Rod Brind'Amour, and Rod Brind'Amour was coaching. Like, how crazy is that?
And Brind'Amour's now coaching the team that he was a star of.
Mm-hmm. And his coach at one point was who just beat him, which was Paul Maurice. That was the coach of his team when they were with Carolina.
It's definitely weird how much things more often than not, tend to come full circle, especially with the hockey world.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's why it's the greatest sport in the world, man. You know that. But let's dive into the playoffs, man. There's a lot of good action, that's for sure. For sure.
Hold on one second.
Absolutely. Just a quick pause.
Sorry.
I love it.
With everything going on, that was actually, I just had to check to see what this message was because I just got a pop-up from Twitter on a direct message from my guest for tomorrow night.
There we go. That's why I love doing a show with you. You just never know what's going to happen. Like, we'll just be sitting there, we'll talk, and then all of a sudden, midway through, you'll just be like going, or like you'll fire up a heater, and I'm like, what is going on over there?
Well, not so much firing up heaters anymore. I've switched to these things.
It's still the greatest thing I've ever heard. The greatest story I ever heard in my life.
A good old Josh Yowie.
I know, dude. He's the best. Definitely give a little shout out to Josh. A good friend. He's a great journalist over there with the Athletic cover.
Oh, I definitely need to reach out to him at some point and get him on here.
Yeah, you do. I just talked to him actually not long ago. We're trying to schedule something as well. Maybe we'll do a little round table. He's just great to talk to. Yeah, Josh is just awesome.
Very down to earth journalist too.
Funny as shit too.
Yes, but anyways, let's dive into this because there's so much to talk about with each of these series. We're going to start with round one, work our way up to the big dance. Starting with the first matchup I want to go into, the Maple Leafs defeated the 3 out of the past 4 years Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning in 6.
Yeah, this was, I mean, we obviously know what the big thing about this series was. Obviously, you saw the Lightning, who are built for championships. They're built to win championships. But the key thing in this is the Maple Leafs got out the first round. I mean, and that's realistically what everybody was so happy about, that they were able to transition. Like, was this going to be the year? I didn't think it was going to be the year. They have a lot of issues. Like sometimes it's not about the best players; it's about the right players, and they just don't seem to have something really going on over there. I mean, obviously, you see from the scores, you had a couple of tight battles, some overtime victories. It was a good series, but the key thing I'm taking away from this is the fact that you got to see Maple Leafs transition to the second round. But now, with that being said, and them losing in the second round, you also are starting to see, okay, something is not working here. I know Austin Matthews isn't super happy over there. A lot of talks have been about him maybe moving on. I mean, you can also say the same thing with Connor McDavid. Is he going to eventually want to move on because of just can't get it together? But props for Maple Leafs getting getting to the second round. But yeah, it was a tough one. A decent series too. I mean, it was a competitive series. You love overtime hockey, but not a really super like talking about series. But first round's always like when you get to that second round, it's when things start getting real good. But yeah, I mean, two teams that definitely should have been there. Maple Leafs had a good year. It's good to see them get to the second round.
For sure. And it's nice that we can't really make the joke about them anymore, because originally it had always been hockey team walks into a bar. They all order a round of shots. Once they're lined up, they all swig them, and the bartender comes around like, hey, would y'all like to start a tab? Not necessary. We're the Washington Capitals. We're always done after the first round. And it had transitioned after the Capitals got their cup win a few years ago to the Maple Leafs being the butt of that joke. And it's nice to see that at least they were able to advance to a second.
Yeah, well, that was it's a shame when like the small victories, they're getting past the hump, and it's ironic that you bring that up about the Washington Capitals, because we all know that the team that they couldn't get past was the Pittsburgh Penguins, and as soon as they got past the Penguins, I was like, they're going to win the cup.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I had the same feeling when that happened.
Oh yeah,
what was it, 3-4 years ago?
It was when the Vegas Golden Knights came into the franchise, into the NHL.
Okay, so it was 5 years ago, because it was because it was the Capitals that defeated the Knights in the final.
Yep. Yeah, but like I said, round one, good series here. It's more of like a little plugs here and there without getting the second round, and just a lot of question marks there. But we'll see what happens in the next couple seasons with the Maple Leafs.
All right, we'll move on, since you had just been talking about Eric Staal and Rod Brind'Amour and all that. The Hurricanes defeat the Islanders in 6.
Yeah, I mean, this was a series that I think both teams. This was a good one, because with the team like the Hurricanes, everybody was going to ask, including myself, when are they going to go? They were like that. They were Dallas Stars 5-6 years ago. Just that team that was good, that the scary, watch out for them. They might be pretty good. And obviously you see them now transitioning into a pretty good team. Now, with that being said, the Hurricanes, I was just talking about the Hurricanes too. Actually, in the locker room with a couple of the boys, we were talking about how they don't have that star player. Aho's on the squad, but they don't have that Ovechkin, that Crosby. They don't have that guy. What they have is they play really well together, and they probably have one of the best coaches in the league. And I think with that comes, they were able to get as far as they did. The Hurricanes are getting better and better, but also, when do you get past the hump? The Hurricanes are becoming that Capitals team, actually, for me. When are they going to get past the hump? Because they're a good team. Obviously, we'll talk about what happened with them recently and how they panned out. But Hurricanes are fun to watch. Skill, great coach. Obviously a former Flyer. But that Islanders fell off. They were that team that was going to get in the playoffs and just kind of lost a little bit. They're not as good as they were a couple years ago. When Barzell kind of jumped out there, and they just see the speed of him and just seeing how they were playing. It's man, Islanders would be pretty good. And then I think they fired Barry Trotz, and then you just saw a lot of question marks. Everybody when that team that got in the playoffs that you knew was probably going to get out in the first round, obviously playing the Hurricanes, but they're not too far away from maybe getting back to the second round.
No, the thing I really like with the Hurricanes is you always think of legacy players, legacy athletes, as being passing the reins down from father to son.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Hurricanes kind of went a different approach, because it went from big brother to little brother, with former captain Eric Staal moving on from the franchise, and now their current captain is his younger brother, Jordan.
Jordan and Mark, yeah, imagine that, 3 brothers. It's so funny. I'm out there shooting photos for a team, and there's 2 sets of brothers. There's 3 brothers, and then there's 2 more. I know them all pretty well, and it's dude, you guys a family of hockey. It's probably so competitive. But yeah, Jordan Staal, Mark Staal, and Eric Staal. Eric Staal is obviously the oldest. You obviously know Jordan Staal pretty well from playing with the Pittsburgh Penguins for so
Yes.
long. And he was a great addition, great third-line gritty player. And now he's the captain. If Eric Staal, who was a captain, won a cup, Jordan Staal, who now is a captain, but obviously won some cups with Pittsburgh, like just a team of brothers.
1-1 with Pittsburgh, yeah.
He ended up winning only one, huh?
Yeah,
Well,
he was here with the 09 win, but he was gone before the 16-17 wins.
Oh, okay. Well, not a Pittsburgh fan.
We know. Now, you kind of made it hard for me to not transition to this next series that we're going to discuss, because you talk about that team that you see that they make it, but you don't see them going far. And for me, I got to be honest, when you lined up the 16 teams that were in the Stanley Cup dance, looking at the list, I'm just looking at what type of momentum they had through the season and got them to it. It was kind of a situation of, hey, one of these things just doesn't belong here. And for me, that was the Florida Panthers.
Ironically.
And ironically, as you just said, they're one of the teams that has advanced to the final. Like, I don't know if it's a matter of just knowing that all you got to do is get to the dance to step up, or if it's a matter of they just woke up at the right time. But first series for them, round one, Panthers defeat the Bruins, who were the hottest team in hockey, and if I'm not mistaken, broke a record for the most points
against the Flyers.
Broke the record for the most points scored in a single season.
Yeah, they hold now the all-time record for most points, and they actually beat that record against the Flyers. And the thing about the Boston Bruins was that early on in the offseason, and I'm not sure which show I guess on to talk about it, but they didn't have Krejci. He was going to be out. Charlie McAvoy was going to be hurt. Bergeron was not signed. Marchand was going to be out. Like, you just were hoping to get the 500 by midway through the season, and look what they were able to do. And it was an incredible season, but obviously the biggest letdown for Boston, because you saw, like, dude, like, who was going to be able to beat them in a series? And they came out and they played against Panthers, hot team going in. The last game, the momentum's, they're feeling good, and they lose in 7. And when that right there, round one, Panthers knock out the Bruins. It is, take it from me, from playing hockey for 17 years, playing at a really high level. Those kind of wins, those signature wins, will take your mindset to another place where it's like, we cannot be beaten. And it's actually been proven, because now they're in the Stanley Cup Final. And it's been an incredible ride. Everybody loves that Cinderella story, especially in hockey. The Panthers are just playing so well. Bobrovsky, it's guys on the team, too, that deserve it. You want to see Bobrovsky get it. I mean, he was with the Flyers for so long. You want to see guys like him get it. And we'll eventually talk about the player, that I'm going to mention when we talk about their series, but they have a player on their team. His dad was one of the best American-born players ever, as in Keith Tkachuk, and we'll talk more about Matthew when we get to his game. But Matthew Tkachuk, man, I mean, I've been watching a lot of the playoffs with the lady, and we're watching every game, and we're just watching Matthew Tkachuk just literally take over, and he's got a couple of game-winning goals. I mean, he's been sensational, but I'm happy for the Panthers, man. It's a great series. That's what you know. Let's play off hockey. Play off hockey, Geoffrey.
Yeah.
Something that both of our teams are not in. Something that both of our teams are not in right now.
Yeah. Something that neither of our teams was in to begin with.
Yeah, we definitely didn't have a shot. Obviously, the Flyers got the seventh pick overall. What pick do you guys have? Do you remember or no? I can take a look at it.
I have not looked into that.
All good. I'll look it up just to see how close they were. But
now to round off the Eastern Conference for the first round, Devils defeat the Rangers in 7. Now we just saw that the team that I thought was going to make it, was going to be representing the East in the final, got knocked out by the Panthers. You predicted the Rangers, and they ran into. They must have hit some bad Jersey traffic or something, because.
No, that's the thing. They didn't hit bad Jersey traffic. They hit a good core in the Devils. I mean, you see the way that, and the Flyers are going to definitely take a page out of this book when they start to rebuild. The back end on the New Jersey Devils team is sensational. Their top 6 defensive pairings, their defense is awesome, and that's a huge thing. I mean, look what they're doing. I mean, I'm surprised that Devils did it. I mean, I love the 7-game series too. The Rangers had really good players, but not the right players. You know, a quote from Herb Brooks, man, sometimes it's not about the best players, but the right ones. And they brought in Tarasenko. They brought in Patrick Kane. Didn't even matter. Lost in the first round. Devils did their thing.
Like I definitely made the joke.
They're going to be good. They're going to be really good. I mean, to cut you off. I'm sorry about that. Devils are going to be good. I mean, they took some time to rebuild. They're going to be pretty good.
Like at the trade deadline when the Patrick Kane trade went through, I actually made the joke to some of my local podcasters and fellow Penguins fans that with the Patrick Kane trade, it looks like the Rangers are going to be playing for the Stanley Cup, and that it looked like Hextall was playing to get to the bottom of his next liquor cup. And let's just say it looks like I was half right because Hextall's gone, but
yeah,
disappointing for the Rangers.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, you didn't know what was going to happen, but you knew that you had some good talent on your team. Definitely a great goaltender, and bringing in two studs in Tarasenko and Patrick Kane. But like I said, man, it's more than that. I mean, that's why I go back to the Carolina Hurricanes. Like, they're a team that doesn't have that big star player, but they play really well together, and that's what matters sometimes.
Yes. All right. So moving on to the West, the one that was a feel good for me that I was happy about, even though it came at the expense of another team that I really like, but seeing the Seattle Kraken get into the second round this year, defeating the defending Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche to get there in a 7-game series.
Incredible. And I was on the show with Jordan. I'm actually going to be doing one with him probably this week too. From the first year of a franchise with Seattle to this year, listen to these stats, right? This is from Bleacher Report too, by the way. 40-point jump difference. 40 points from the first year to the second. The Kraken got 18 spots up in the standings from the first year to the second year. What incredible! And they're another team. I don't know what it was about that team. Well, one thing I do think why they're succeeded so well, they don't have a big stud player. They play well, leadership. I mean, Dave Haxtell's their coach. I didn't do well here in Philadelphia, but he's doing well with Seattle, obviously. And Shane Wright, who we thought was going to be the consensus number 1 overall pick last year. We dropped down to Seattle, I think, at 4. They took him. He didn't even play much. I think the difference maker was that Grubauer, their goaltender, they actually got from Colorado, was stealing them games, and they were just winning. I was pulling for the Kraken. I was feeling a little Kraken.
For sure. Like, for me, I will admit, I've only ever bought one non-Penguins jersey.
Really?
And the one that I bought was Turbo for Seattle.
Turbo for who was that? Who is that? I don't know. Who is it?
Number 13, Brandon Tanev.
Oh, Brandon Tanev. Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. And he was part of their roster when they did it. Yeah, he's a great player. And the Seattle jerseys, that's right. I remember you had that one. Their jerseys actually are pretty cool, but Kraken are going to be good, man. Kraken are going to be good.
I hope to see them get. Honestly, even though it was a 3-year gap between expansion franchises, if we see Seattle win a cup before Vegas, I will celebrate so hard.
I'm just the whole Vegas thing. I just don't know. It's just too much. I will talk about them when we get there, but props to Kraken. I mean, I was pulling for them all the way through.
For sure. We got a comment in here.
Oh, fantastic!
Geoffrey looking like a mountain man with that beard.
Yeah, he's doing it up. He's got the playoff beard going.
Playoff beard that I started before the NHL season even began, but I digress. Next series, one that I don't know really what to say other than
I don't even. I like nothing. I got nothing. Like, I mean, not that I don't have anything, but some series, like, not much really stands out. I mean, Stars are a competitive team. They should have definitely beat the Wild. Stars in 6. I mean, that's good. We got to the next round. Let's see what you do now in the second round. So I'll transition away from that one.
The biggest thing I could say about this is the fact that the Wild even made it to the dance. You got to put a lot of that on the shoulders of their goaltender.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, don't see too much Minnesota Wild hockey, but Dallas was a fine focus. People were watching Dallas to see if they were going to be another team to take it to the next level.
All right. Round 1, Golden Knights defeat the Jets in 5.
It's so funny. These first rounds are like, it's just like you're waiting to see like when, like, you know what I mean? Like Easter Conference is just so much better. Remember back in the day when Western Conference like took over everything? You had like, and now Easter Conference is just so much more exciting. Just a side note. Jets, they're a team that surprised to see. Golden Knights, you start to see how they are, and what are they going to get back to the dance? They've always been pretty competitive. They did what they should have done. They won in 5.
All right, down to the team that the last series to talk about first round, and the team that you and I both agreed was the team that we thought we were going to see going into next week. But the Edmonton Oilers defeat the Los Angeles Kings in 6.
This was a really good one. I actually enjoyed this one. Obviously, seeing what Edmonton was going to do, but the Kings, like, they still got some of those players on there from the older days. I think like Dowdy's still on there, but like they were giving him a fight. I thought they were giving him a fight. I mean, look, you see it in 6, and I was like, holy crap, the Kings are taking it to them. And as soon as that happened, as soon as the Kings were taking it to 6 and possibly was going to go to 7, I was like, ooh, Edmonton looks a little off here. I'll ask your thought on that. Like, I'm not sure how much of the series you saw, but even if you didn't, knowing that Edmonton, what they have, their talent, like seeing this series like get like deeper, it's like I said, not sure how much was watched, but would you have gotten concerned, like seeing like, wow, Oilers probably should have swept that?
I probably would have gotten concerned after the third game. Where it was already 2 games gone to overtime. Given that with the fact that in my analysis, I'd say that Edmonton probably has the most high-powered offense of any team in the league. And the fact that the third game, they've already gone to 2 overtimes.
Yeah, and when you have such high-powered offense, goals should be scored, games should be ending early. My problem with like the Oilers, and we'll talk about that when we find out when they get eliminated. But definitely eyes roll. It was a fun series. That was probably the best series in the first round.
All right, moving on to the second round. Back to the East. The second round matchup: Hurricanes defeat the Devils in 5.
Yeah, this was a good one. Obviously, that overtime win in 5 was really, really cool. This was probably when it's going to be I knew this was going to be a really good series. They're just built so well defensively, good goaltending, good coaching. Like, once the Hurricanes beat the Devils, I was like, the Hurricanes might be able to do it. They might go a little further. Really good series, and definitely enjoyed this one. Hurricanes, I don't know who I would have. I probably would have still picked the Hurricanes because of that coaching. But the Devils, like I said, man, they are getting better and better. But hats off the Hurricanes, man. It was a good fall series.
Now that third game with the Devils, lighting them up 8 times, lighting them up for an 8-4 win for Jersey to get their 1 win of the series. Mm-hmm. That 8-4 score is something that I would have expected on every game on the last series we discussed with Edmonton.
Oh yeah,
but for Jersey to pull that off with looking at like who were their biggest stars, Nico Hischier.
Yeah.
And there's not many others to think of.
Their goaltender was really good. I mean, and with the Devils, I mean, you got Husey. I mean, you have some good players over there. But like you said, young players that are learning, that are just really talented.
All right. Second round series. Panthers defeat the Maple Leafs in 5.
This is where the head started turning. I mean, obviously, like that monkey's always going to be on the Maple Leafs' back. Like, are they going to go to the second round? If they lose in the second round, it's almost like, well, we kind of knew that was going to happen. Let's just be happy about the first round, getting out of the first round. But on the other side of things, seeing what the Panthers beat the Maple Leafs. Like, here's my question, and I'd love for your viewers to actually comment in on this. What was the biggest surprise? The Maple Leafs losing in the second round to an AC team, or seeing the Panthers play so well and beat them in 5? Like, what was more of a surprise? And to me, it was probably Panthers beating Maple Leafs. But that just getting in and playing so well like that was probably the biggest surprise. And then once that happened, it's like, oh, we got ourselves a good team here. We got a scary team.
That's what I was going to say on this one. Is it was about, for me, it was probably the third game after the 3-2 overtime win during the series when Florida jumped up 3-0 on the series, is when the chirping really started that, holy shit, Florida might actually be the real deal this year.
Well, I mean, maybe not even the real deal, but people are the conversations are having like getting to the playoffs. And you don't know what's going to happen. People continuously keep saying that because like they weren't the real deal. They got in and they earned it, and like play playoff hockey. They're playing playoff hockey, and and just a real quick mention. Last year their team they were the President's Cup. They were the best team, best record in the NHL. You had a guy, you had Claude Giroux at the deadline to maybe push for the cup, and they were out. And now look, pretty wild, huh? I mean, I would love to see Claude get it, but yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, Panthers are really fun to watch, and I can't wait to get to that final game to talk about it.
For sure. All right.
If there's any boring series, just whatever. Because the second round gets pretty good, but like, yeah.
Now, for me, the one that was the one that like for me the Cinderella story came to an end. The Stars defeat the Kraken in 7.
This was awesome. This was such a good series, and I remember covering. So I remember covering this. So also like a little mention. Russ Cohen, good friend. He's been in the business for 20 years. For $10, he is a writer who covers the juniors for Sportsology. After some conversations, him and I got to talking, and I will be joining Sportsology.com next season for the Flyers, covering the team again. So I'm really excited about that. And
nice, congratulations!
Thank you, my brother. I'm really excited for that. So definitely a little plug to Russ. But Stars Kraken. I mean, this was a great series. This is my favorite series. This was my favorite series so far, probably in the playoffs. And yeah, this was good stuff, man. I mean, I was pulling for Kraken. But Stars did it. The goaltending in this series was sensational. You had Krubauer doing his thing and Ottinger. Like you saw it, 2-1 that final game was. Like, it was just sensational. I loved every minute of it.
Now, the biggest thing I'll say on this, especially after this series, and you can disagree if you wish, but to me, looking at them getting through this series here, it's probably the best the Stars have looked since the retirement of Modano.
Oh my God, definitely highly disagree, but I'll take it though. I'll take it. I mean, listen, that Dallas team, especially if you go back to '99, was just full of Hall of Famers. Like, but when he left, like you didn't just lose Mike Modano, you lost a part of Dallas Stars. So it's hard to find that guy. Like I'll reiterate your comments of like where I would see it from. Mike Modano was Dallas Stars, Darian Hatcher, Joe Newendike, Brett Hall. Marty Turco, like those are the face of that franchise. Like, who is that guy now for the Stars? And I may not have had that since Mike Modano. Like, who is it? Jamie Benn, Sagan? Like, who really is it? They don't have it, and they may have not had it since Mike Modano. So, I agree with part of it on that level. But Stars are just getting better. They're getting better. They've been getting better for about 5 years now. Competitive, but getting more and more competitive to where, like, when are they going to be the next team to make the hump? But they've been fun. Their goaltending is awesome. Whoever was going to come out of this series deserved it. This was a lot of fun. Hard-fought series. And look at Seattle. Seattle doing it up.
I'll say what is in the water for these expansion arenas nowadays, because you look back to the 90s expansions and even the ones back in the 60s, and when a new team has entered the league, historically, they've sucked for at least the first 5 years.
We haven't seen that, though, with these last two, man. We just haven't seen it. I mean, it could be worse. It could be the Coyotes right now playing in ASU looking for a home, and I won't even get into that. But
apparently they got rejected for the bid that they put for the new Glendale Stadium.
They don't need a stadium. I'm going to get fired up in 2 seconds. So I don't even know if we want to go into that. They don't need a new stadium. They need to sell the team. It's just, I'm not going to get into that conversation. We'll save that for a later time.
Can I give a suggestion?
Yeah, give me a suggestion, Geoffrey. Let's hear it, bro.
Relocate to Hartford.
Thank you. No, I want to do the Nordiques. Yeah, I want to go back to the Nordiques. Absolutely. Yeah, that's where I want to go. Hartford, baby. That's what I'm all about. That's where I want to go. Bring it back.
Well, Nordiques would have been my second option. Atlanta would have probably been my third. But I'm saying Hartford for the simple fact that there hasn't been a hockey team there in how many years?
Sometime. And it should go there.
And yet, if you look through the crowd of at pretty much every single NHL game during the season, you're still going to see at least one Hartford Whalers jersey.
You're damn right. I would get one immediately. Absolutely. It's one of the originals. I mean, I want to say it. But the other story for another episode.
All right. Well, I think we're going to have to call it here.
Another story for another episode. But I want to see it. I want to see it. But the other story for another episode. I want to see it. I want to see it. But. 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 But.
or to kill time at the end of this one, maybe. All right, last matchup in the second round. The Golden Knights defeat the Oilers in 6. And the one thing I want to tell you about this series is this is out of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 series that we've seen so far. This is the first one that I got to type in without the 2 letters of OT.
Interesting. The Oilers, I mean, I had them going, dude. I had them going, and I was surprised. It was really disappointing, especially the way McDavid played last playoff series. Last year in the playoffs, like 27 points he had in like 12 games. Like him and Draisaitl are the best duo I think I might have ever seen.
Not to mention, if I'm not mistaken, didn't they also have Evander Kane leading the charge with the point scoring last year?
Well, Evander Kane was a great addition. I mean, we know what he's been through and stuff like that. He was a guy that is a gritty player, could still score some points, and he's tough as nails. He's a thorn in the side, and you want a player like that, especially in the playoffs. But scoring alone, talent alone, I mean, they should have been able to do it. They didn't. Here's the thing. Here's my take. I talked about this with my good friend Jordan, my buddy out from Colorado, has a podcast. The goaltending was the reason why that the Oilers lost. They invested $25 million, 5 years for their goaltender, and played Skinner, who's a rookie. And after he got rained out 4 times in the playoff series, they never went back to, can't remember his name off the top of my head, but they should have went back. They should have made a goalie change. They didn't. It was a bad coaching decision, and that's why they lost. My opinion. Breaking news. All right.
You talking about Jack Campbell?
Yeah, Jack Campbell. Thank you.
But yeah, I don't even know what I kind of just swiped that off and didn't even look at it because I was too busy trying to get the answer to your question.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
But another thing with the Oilers, since we mentioned like the key pieces to their team, it seems like with them, when one of their, like, we already saw how integral of an addition Evander Kane was, with how much the team turned on fire last year with the addition, and it seems like when one of their three linchpins flounders, the team falls apart. Like, look at what happened this year with the unfortunate injury Evander Kane faced against the Tampa with almost getting his hand amputated.
With Pat Maroon. Yeah, man, that was crazy.
Thank you.
It's no problem at all. Freak accident. I mean, playing the game as long as I have, I definitely have seen some stuff. It's just a freak accident, man. And I remember the first game back with Kane, when he came back and played them, they went up to each other and said a few words. Freak accident, man. Got a lot of noise happening over here. The boys just might have got out from a big victory. But yeah, freak accident. Glad to see he was able to get back. But like I said, the transition out this game, Oilers, disappointing.
All right. Moving on. I know we were talking about if there's a boring series, we'll skip right past it.
Yeah. And not to mention, I'm hitting up the chat. Battery's getting a little low, and the ring's going to be closing soon. But I definitely have to give them a shout out because I was telling them about the podcast that we were going to be doing. They wanted me to stay here and do the podcast. I've been comfy and cozy, so I definitely give a shout out to Grundy for having me here. But yeah, I'm ready to talk finals soon. I'm just so pumped up for the final.
Well, we're going to skim right past this one because you want to talk about boring series. There's nothing more boring than a sweep, other than the first game of this series.
Well,
I thought it was never going to end.
It was incredible. It was incredible hockey. I never thought it was going to end. I was so glad it wasn't going to end. It was so much fun. And it's funny because, Rob Brendan made this statement in his press conference. Like, yeah, we got swept, but we didn't get swept. And I get where he's coming from. They were 2 monster games that could have went the other way, and we would be having a different discussion. Tight games. Look at that. 3-2, 2-1, 1-0, 4-3. Nail biters. But, Panthers were able to do it. Matthew Tkachuk was a huge part of that. Studley, he's awesome. He's scoring goals left and right. Dipty-doo-dah, Dunkaroo. Incredible player to have. Here's what I said, and you tell me what you think about this. I'd love to know what your viewers say, too. Philadelphia Flyers. Matthew Tkachuk is what all Flyers fans wanted Drew to be in the playoffs. And I'm a Drew guy, 100%. That's a good bit. I'm gonna have to get that bit from you too. But yeah, I mean, Panthers are doing it.
All right, moving on to the Western Conference Final, which was again close.
Overtime hockey. There's nothing like overtime hockey, brother.
The Golden Knights defeat the Stars in 6. 3 of these games went to overtime, and I want to know what fell apart in Game 3 and Game 6, or in Games 3 and 6.
Oh, because yeah, I mean, you go from them tight matchups, and in the playoffs, you always want to just forget that game, just bounce back, and you start seeing it and stuff like that. And the Stars were able to get a good win, and then it's a 6-0, just 6-0. It's pumped. Dallas is out, Golden Knights, and now let's do it. Let's transition to the dance. I'm ready to talk about the dance.
Now, before we bring that up, I will put down at the bottom of the screen a ticker with the game schedule. But now you've got Florida Panthers versus the Vegas Golden Knights. And I have a feeling that most of North America is on one side of this coin, and then you've got Gary Bettman with his wet dream on the other side.
Wet dream, good God, yeah, where the Buckaroonies are coming in. I mean, listen, you're seeing it. You saw them get in. Everybody loves a good Cinderella story. Aside from all that stuff, Florida Panthers, that's who I have winning. That's who I want to win. I got there a little opportunity came my way, in which I'll do a mention if we talk about the game. But I love the Panthers. I love the Panthers, and in 6. Game 6, Florida Panthers are going to win the cup. And the reason why they're going to win the cup in Game 6 is because I got the opportunity, got to ask, got to talk to. It's official. If the Florida Panthers make it, if that series goes to 6 games, I'll be there shooting photos. Game 6, Stanley Cup Final. Let's go for the best. Aside from that, I got Florida winning it. They're the dream team. I mean, they're so exciting to watch. I want to see Bob get it. And, I mean, I regardless if it's 6 games or whatever, I got Florida winning the series.
I'm actually going to, surprisingly, you and I have the same takeaway on this, because I think Vegas is going to come out strong in the first 2 games. But I think
strong like hell, like strong as in like a ton of shots, just physical. They're a gritty team. And that's the thing. But you got like guys like Bet, Gudis, who obviously we saw with the Flyers. Like they have some heavy hitters. They are a gritty team, but that's the Bob show. The Bob show. Bob Roski is just sensational. He's about to show the rookie how to really play some goaltending. And Hill's done well. But let me tell you, dude, Bob Roski is absolutely killing it right now. I got Florida in 6.
Well, either way, I think what I was saying was I think Vegas will come out strong in the first 2 games and probably go up to an early 2-0 lead. But I think once they get...
You think Vegas goes up 2 games?
But I think Florida comes back and gets 4 straight.
That sounds like that. I mean, that's a true Cinderella story right there. 2 games. If they were to go, oh my God, if Vegas goes up 2 games, that's scary. That's not going to be good. That's interesting. I hope you're wrong. I don't like that. Don't say that shit, dude. No, I'm just kidding.
I will say this much with this series. The biggest thing I'm looking for, and please, if you get to watch it and it happens, please send me a freaking clip of it on loop. But I look forward to hopefully seeing Mackenzie Weegar take Chandler Stevenson's freaking head off.
Well, I never hope for injuries to hockey players. I'm
not saying injured. I'm not saying injure him. Just lay him the hell out.
Yeah, I love a good layout. That's for sure. But yeah, man. I mean, this is going to be a great series. I'm pumped up for it. I can't wait for it to start. A lot of hockey going to be happening this weekend.
All right,
for sure.
Let's do tail of the tape on the 3 biggest fields on this: offensive power and goal scoring.
Oh man! All right, so offensive power and goal scoring.
Who has the edge? Which
I know.
Has
yeah,
the edge?
I know. I'll go Florida. More star power.
All right, goaltending.
Florida.
Defense.
Vegas has a few, besides their defensive players, Vegas has some really good 2-way hockey players. I'll give Vegas this one.
Okay. Honestly, the biggest factor for me on this one, it would have been defense. Probably the biggest star out of either team would probably, I'd have to take the kick and say Florida takes the edge on that, just because of the Mackenzie Weegar factor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can give you that one. Yeah, Florida just plays well together, and their players that should be playing well are playing well. And it's an unbelievable thing. They're playing so well that they're literally draining my computer battery to almost 9%. So we got to fucking do our thing here.
Well, luckily we just pretty much gave our predictions on this. We
Florida.
covered each of the series.
Game 6.
At this point, I just want to know: is there anything big other than the potential trip to Florida for the game if it goes to 6, or the newly rebranded Chirping Pucks podcast that you got going on big?
Oh man, always having a conversation with you is always a big thing in my life, my man. I definitely appreciate you having me on, as always. I'm not only are we friends, but I'm a fan of your stuff. I feel like we've been doing this thing now for a little bit. It's been definitely, I think, about 2 years since we've the year or two since we've first did some stuff together. So, but yeah, big stuff, man. I'm excited for those two things. Photography's doing well. Like I said, man, shooting some photos for hockey, playing some hockey. Good things all the way around, but definitely those two things are exciting. And Chirping Pucks, yeah, man, definitely pumped up about it.
It's definitely been about at least a year, because I believe Moncutters' first episode was last March.
Oh, nice. Well, congratulations on the little anniversary, my friend.
So I'm looking forward to hopefully getting a Smack Talk episode on for the Flyers Pens game.
Yeah, well, you know that as soon as we get that schedule on, we always got to talk rivalry, and it's we definitely want to focus on what we were focused on. You had a good segment going on tonight, but there's always room for a little bit of that, brother. But what I got to do is we got to link up somehow where we meet in the middle or at one of the Philly or PA, and we got to do a show together live and set it right up, right in front of each other. We'll do one of Adam's famous 15 people roundtables.
I don't know about that, man.
Too many personalities.
Yeah,
shout out to Adam, though. I love you, buddy.
I got to give myself credit. I can usually do good at keeping the reins tight and running a tight ship when it's me and one other guest.
Yeah, man.
I mean, come on. I do a good enough job. I do a pretty damn good job of keeping you in line. But when you add in 5 or 6 people, it gets to be too much for me.
Only you and the girlfriend can keep me in line. Trust me. It ain't easy. It's not easy. She's thinking about getting one of them shock collars that you get for the dogs. Yeah, who was that? Oh, that was Frankie. But yeah, dude, it was great to do this show, man. I always appreciate it.
For sure. Otherwise, as always, give them a shout out where your plugs are.
Oh yeah, man. Frankie Stasko on Twitter. That's my personal. You can find all types of good stuff on there. Plugs Podcast on Twitter and YouTube. Follow them as well. We're going to be doing some giveaways. We have a new sponsor. So keep an eye out for that. But Frankie James Photography on Instagram, and then obviously you can check out my work with the NHL and local radio stations, some concerts on the website. Thanks again for my brother for having me on, man.
Oh yeah, for sure. Those of you that follow me know that you can follow me at TJE Joker. That's my personal tag. At Moncutters for Moncutter Sportscast. The biggest way to help out: subscribe, click that button for notifications for Running Force Productions. That's Running Force with as one word, capital R, capital F. It's the logo up above Frank's headset.
My headset. I'm gonna do a quick plug too, if you don't mind, if you're done.
Otherwise, go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, new sponsor, good friend of mine. He's also on the ice hockey team. We're doing some giveaways, obviously, on my show. But if you use the promo code PUCKS, PUCKS, capitalized, 20% off a pair of sunglasses. Great stuff, great sunglasses. It's Melania Ewear. I'll definitely post that out. But check their stuff out. Use the promo code. Get yourself some sunglasses. Good friend, good hockey player, and some good sunglasses too.
All right. That being said, this been another wonderful episode of Moncutter Sportscast. This will probably be getting released on Spotify probably somewhere around Friday.
Cool.
Just because I got to get some time together to
wipe your ass.
I got to get some time together to get the episode from last night released. Otherwise, this is Geoffrey from Moncutter Sportscast being joined tonight by special guest Frankie Stesk from the Chirping Pucks podcast.
The Chirping Pucks, man.
Signing off.